Today we're going to show you how to win quickly and checkmate your opponent with the king's gambit. It starts with white playing e4 and black responding with e5. Then white plays f4, offering a pawn as a gambit to gain control of the center. Black moves c5, aiming to counterattack and weaken white's position. White responds with knight f3, putting pressure on the e5 pawn. Black plays d6, trying to protect the e5 pawn. If white captures the e5 pawn, black can deliver a check with the queen. So instead, white plays c3, reinforcing the center. Black then moves their queen to e7, which is a logical move. White responds with d4. An e5 pawn takes d4. White recaptures. Black then takes the e4 pawn, delivering a check. At this point, white can defend with the bishop or queen, but neither is ideal. Instead, white moves the king to f2, and from here, the game is practically over for black. White's d4 pawn threatens to capture black's c5 bishop, and the e-file is now open for white's h1 rook. In response, black moves their bishop to b6, pinning the pawn and applying pressure. White then plays b5, delivering a check. Many players might instinctively block with a pawn, but that's a losing move for black. Instead, the best move is to simply move the king to d8. White follows up with a tactical move, rook e1, putting immense pressure on black. At this point, black's queen is either forced to capture or relocate. Finally, white plays rook e8, delivering a massive checkmate. Turn to the main position. After f4, black captures with f4 pawn, and white responds with knight f3. Black then plays g5, attempting to be aggressive. In response, white develops with bishop c4, targeting the weak f7 pawn. Black's main vulnerability. Black plays h6, trying to defend the g5 pawn. White counters with h4, threatening to capture on g5. Black continues development with knight c6, but white takes the g5 pawn. Now, if black recaptures, they risk losing the rook, and if they take with the queen, they lose it because white's knight covers the pawn. Returning to the position, black plays f6 to defend the pawn. However, white plays a brilliant move, knight e5, and at this point, the game is almost over. Why? Because black neglected development. Black accepts the knight, and white delivers a stunning check with the queen. The black king is forced to move to e7. White responds with queen to f7, and black moves the king to d6. White delivers another check, and after black's move, the game is over. White captures the e5 pawn and delivers a massive checkmate. Now, let's return to the main position. After white plays pawn to f4, black accepts the gambit, and white responds with knight to f3. Black pushes a pawn to g5, and white counters with h4, offering a pawn. Black advances to g4, and white places the knight on e5. Now we're considering knight and bishop moves, but they're not the best options. Instead, move the pawn to d6 to threaten the knight. White captures the f7 pawn, offering the knight, and black accepts. White delivers a check with the bishop, and black blocks with the bishop to e6, a logical move. White then captures the bishop, and black takes white's bishop in return. White's queen takes g4 and delivers a check. White's position is strong due to black's weak king. While white's king can castle, black's king cannot. Therefore, the best move for black is to move the king back. White plays knight to c3, planning to check the black king. Black counters with knight to f6, attacking the queen and defending the d5 square. White then takes the f4 pawn with the queen, threatening the knight. Black responds by moving the bishop to defend the knight. White simply plays pawn to d4, opening the bishop's path to protect the queen. Black plays rook to f8, and white responds with pawn to e5. Black captures, and white takes back with the pawn. Black then moves the knight to d5, a brilliant move that threatens the queen while also attacking the knight. The queen moves backward, making a massive move by attacking the bishop and protecting the knight, all while preparing for bishop to g5. Black takes the knight, and white captures the bishop, delivering a check. Black blocks the check with the rook, the only move to do so. White plays bishop to g5, once again checking the king, and white is now in a winning position. Now, back to the position. Black captures the f4 pawn, and white responds with bishop to c4. Black then delivers a check with the queen. This is actually a small trap set by white. White moves the king to f1, which comes with a slight disadvantage. Since castling is no longer possible, black responds with bishop to f5, aiming for a checkmate threat. White counters with pawn to d5, not only threatening the bishop, but also establishing a strong center. The bishop retreats to b6, maintaining pressure along the same diagonal. White develops the knight to f3, attacking the queen. Many players might instinctively retreat the queen to e7, but that's not the best move. Instead, black moves the queen. Just one square to g4, where it defends the pawn and increases pressure on the knight. Now white attacks the f7 pawn, delivering a check. The black king captures the bishop, but then white plays knight to e5, a brilliant move that not only delivers a check but also attacks the queen. Black moves the king, and white's queen captures the g4 queen. With this sequence, the game is effectively over. White is completely winning. Now, let's return to the main position. After white plays h4, black doesn't advance to g4, but instead plays pawn to f6. White then captures the g5 pawn with the knight, and black immediately takes back. White moves the queen to h5, delivering a check. Black moves forward, as it's the only legal move. White's queen then captures the g5 pawn, delivering another check. In this position, many would instinctively move the king backward, but white continues checking. The king moves one square forward. Now white plays queen to e5, delivering another check while also threatening the rook. Lord of black king moves to f7. White plays an aggressive move with bishop to c4, checking the king. Black tries to block them. Check with a pawn, but white captures it and delivers another check. At this point, black has only one legal move, pushing the king to g6. White immediately plays his pawn to h5, checking the king again. Black moves to h6, the only available move. White then captures the f4 pawn, delivering another check. Black blocks the check with the queen, but white takes the bishop, delivering yet another check. Black is now forced to block the check with the queen once again. Now the game is completely lost for black. White can simply move the d3 or d4 pawn, depending on preference, and deliver a massive checkmate. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing chess content.